this. Let's fix this
What's
this
cracking with
ish.
you guys, man? You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah.
Talk to me.
What we saw yesterday and what we witnessed was an abomination. Ain't no other word for it, man. You know what I'm saying? It should be some type of stipulation in these guys' contract that if you don't do maximum effort in the All-Star game, if you're lucky enough to get there, number one, since you're an All-Star, you should be bringing it to the game to see why you earn the right to be an All-Star. You understand what I'm saying? That's what you should be showcasing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
You were lucky enough to get voted to the game. So if you don't do maximum effort, in this particular game, then whatever your contract is, we taking 10% of it from it, because it's on film. We can see everybody who's slacking and who's not, performing up to your all-star status.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, man. It should be some type of punitive thing for them not coming to the game, prepared to give the people who pay for it the show that they expect.
Appreciate it, Cliff. Evan, it's the kind of thing where it can't, like, let's say you're an old school guy. You're a curmudgeon. It like me.
Yeah. It
can't just be, guys in my day were more competitive. That can't be it, 100%. I think it's part of it. But when these guys compete and something's on the line, they're as competitive as any player that's ever played the game. But when nothing's on the line, they can't find anything to incentivize them. That's the part that I think's different. Like the old timers would run up and down, and then at some point there would be some kind of tacit acknowledgement. All right, let's try a little bit now.
Yeah.
Let's try a little bit now. But guys now can't even muster that, it doesn't feel like.
No, I don't think there's a switch that's flipped. Like, to your point, and it's not like back in the glory days, guys were diving on the hardwood for balls in the NBA All-Star game, or guys were, taking hard fouls, or like it wasn't as soon as the ball was tipped, I'm at your throat kind of deal.
Right.
But you're right. Eventually, at some point, whether it's Larry Bird and Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan and I don't know, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, like some of those guys probably, okay, at some point we do have to try. Like, people paid to watch us play. We probably should at least turn it on a little bit. And there's just none of that anymore. And it's interesting. This doesn't fix the All-Star game by any means, but I was just thinking about this from the caller's perspective about, people that are mad. And not to say that these players would change the tone of that game yesterday, because he's right. It was an abomination. But who should be pissed today?
I'm thinking of one guy.
De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
Domantas Sabonis. I don't know, Rudy Gobert. Anybody who felt like they were snubbed from the All-Star game should be pissed today after watching people who they either felt like they were better than or not.
Right.
Giving that kind of effort.
Well, how many, and this is a guy who...
Jamal Murray, I don't know.
What about a guy like Draymond Green? When I'm thinking of Kobe and Bird and Magic and Jordan, I get it, he's not on their level as a player. But Draymond Green is actually the kind of guy who could elevate the competition level of the whole game. Now, I'm not saying, well, then take a bunch of Draymond, but they got to find guys like Draymond who are still all-star caliber players. I'm not saying he's not, but when I think of the most competitive players in the league, like, there's no way Draymond Green is going to not care, even if it's an all-star game. And even Draymond will probably giggle for the first three quarters, but then he's going to try to win it. But it doesn't feel like we have enough players, quite frankly, like him.
Well, then maybe you should make the team captains Draymond Green and Patrick Beverley. Like, Patrick Beverley would try and take someone out on an all-star
game. What about
those
guys coaching the all-star team? A Draymond Green and a Patrick Beverley.
Russell Westbrook? Like talk about the all-try-hard team.
You're right.
Like, those guys would try and, for better or for worse, those guys try to win everything that they compete in.
Right.
Although I do wonder about Draymond Green. Like, he is, I don't know. He's kind of a guy that floats between the ultra competitor and the guy who's buddy-buddy with all the big wigs. Like, I mean, I don't know. I know you didn't listen to the alternative cast, but he's extremely complimentary when he's on television as opposed to talking about Yusuf Nurkic. Like, it's just interesting to hear the way he talks about the guys that aren't the all-stars.
Well, they are all-stars, and Nurkic
No, but the guy that is an all-star.
Right.
He's not going to go after...
Correct. Well, it's vintage Draymond.
Well, it's like Barkley was saying, Damian Lillard didn't deserve to start. I'm kind of with him. I think Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell are better players. Draymond Green is not going to say someone doesn't deserve to start in an all-star game.
Right. Let's go to Binksy. Binksy's in Oakland. What's up, Binksy? And then get to this Joe Lacob sound and wonder how Warrior fans feel about it. What's up, Binks? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, Steiny?
Hey.
Evan? Hey, I'm a long-time listener, man. It's my favorite show on the station. I go back to when you were filling in for JT the Brick when you first started.
Damn.
It was live.
I saw JT the Brick in Vegas, and I said hello to him, and he's always been a nice guy to me. And
He's shorter than I thought.
Man, I used to listen to that guy on the late night. But anyway, I got an idea how to fix the All-Star game. So if you're trying to get at least a competitive quarter out of these guys, maybe when it gets around to the fourth. So hear me out. You go back to the in-season tournament, right?
okay,
They had their schedulers leave like some kind of space for the teams that didn't make the final so that they could throw in extra games. So if you did the All-Star break to where, just say the East won or the West won, the losing team, what if the losing team had to get back to the grind and start their season back on that Tuesday?
you know
Whereas the other team, the team that won, whether it's the West or the East, they don't have to get back until Thursday or Friday.
You know what?
It's not bad.
You know what, Binks? I like it. Because I was talking to Evan. I said, when do the Warriors play? But when's I've been a little out of it. When the Warriors play, he said Thursday. I'm like, what? Thursday? I kind of like that idea.
I don't know how they'd make it work with scheduling. That'd be fun.
How would they make it work with scheduling? But
You'd have a flex Tuesday, Thursday game?
maybe you could have there might be something to that.
You got to play on Monday.
You play for more days. Hey, you win the All-Star game, you get 2 more days break.
You think that would incentivize them to play harder or play even less? Like, basically, well, if we lose, the game looks like it's out of reach, let's just kick it into first gear. Like,
I think of all the suggestions, that's the most interesting one I've heard. Because obviously you can say, we'll give every player on the winning team $10 million, but we're not going to do that. But the idea that give me the coach, not Finch. I'll tell a funny story.
What,
about
Doc
Finch
Rivers?
Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Well, he's a bad one too.
Joe Mazzulla?
But it's mostly like a guy like Curry. The idea that Steph Curry could be in Indianapolis at 5 p.m. and he says if we win this game, and he knows if we win this game tonight, we're not playing until Friday. But if we lose this game, we got to get back at it Tuesday. I like it. Now, there's probably logistical issues where Adam Silver may be like, you can't do that because of this. Oh, shoot, that's right. But that's the best idea I've heard.
I think
give the winning team a couple more days off for the All-Star break.
It's the best incentive because what do they enjoy about the All-Star break anyways?
The break.
That they get a week off.
Exactly.
So make the break shorter and you might get guys to play.
So here's a funny little story. So I was back east this weekend, and I saw a bunch of guys, my old basketball playing buddies from way back in the day, and a bunch of them are friends with, and me too. Go ahead, give me the drop. With Chris Finch, the head coach of the Timberwolves, who coached the All-Star game. So I was talking to my buddy, Sam Morella, who he was older than Finch, as I am too, but they know each other, and Finch still has a bunch of friends back in. So I'm talking to my buddy Sam Morella, and he goes, how about Finch? He coaches the All-Star game. And I'm like, yeah. And my buddy goes, yeah, he is fuming. This is before the game. This is Saturday.
He looked like it.
My buddy Sam goes, oh, Finch is fuming right now. I said, why? He goes, dude, for the last 22 years, he's going on a fishing trip in Florida with his buddies. A couple of guys that I know from way back in the day. He's been doing it for 20 years at the All-Star break. And this year he's going to miss the fishing trip. He's not happy about it. And I was like, I completely get it. So I texted Finch a couple times. Shame about that.
Well, that's why
I heard your buddies caught a marlin off West Palm Beach. So
I know you weren't paying attention. That's why I texted you if you're watching, just to see what Finch's face looked like.
You said something about 200, and I didn't even put it together until I realized, I bet you they gave up 200 points.
Finch looked so pissed that he had to be there for that game because, of course, he's also occasionally mad at his team when they don't try.
Right.
Like that, I think that's whenever he's gone viral this year or something big has come down from Finch, he goes after his players for not caring. That's the biggest I do not care event of all time. And Chris Finch, just the poster boy for I don't know if he was more mad than Larry Bird, but he might have been.
I mean, you want to put a guy in a position lose. Ask somebody like that to coach an All-Star game.
You know what coaching the All-Star game was for Chris Finch?
What?
Jury duty.
Exactly. That's a great call.
You got to do it once a year.
Finch,
he's exempt for next season. He can get back to fishing next year.
That's true.
So he'll have 1 year on, 1 year off.
Dude, all you had to do was lose 3 out of your last 5 before the break. What are you doing? Let's go to Dennis. Dennis is in the 415. I got to tell you, Binks to me has the best suggestion. Give the win, and I don't know how you do it. I think you could do it though with some creativity. Binks has the best suggestion for my way of thinking to help. Nothing's going to fix it automatically, but help fix it. Binks, in
1 year.
Binks, he said, give the winning team 2 or 3 more days off during the break. So if you're on the losing team, I don't know how you could. You got to go back and start the second half on a Tuesday or Wednesday. If you're on the winning team, all those teams play on a Friday. Interesting. What's up, Dennis? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
So here's a quick idea. All right, so instead of 2 teams, East and West, have 2 East teams, 2 West teams, each with 5 players, right? And then the 2 West teams play each other, the 2 East teams play each other, and then to 21. So not a full game, not 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then the East champion plays the East champion 21, and then the winners get each player gets $200,000 to their chosen charity. So that way there's something at stake for them, and it doesn't, it's not a full 48-minute game, and kind of shortens it, and kind of raises the intensity.
Right.
Intensity level.
I mean, yeah, there's something to incentivizing through a charity, maybe a little bit.
I think so.
Well, because that would also...
Thanks for the call, Dennis. Good stuff.
...touch on the issue of optics. Like, a player wouldn't want to be seen as someone who's not playing hard for a charity.
True.
Especially someone like LeBron. So, I mean, I think between now and then, like, the one hope that I have for next year's All-Star game in San Francisco is that it's going to be all about Curry. I think that's the one hope for the game, or for the weekend, is it's all about Steph. And to me, pound for pound, the best entertainment in the NBA remains Steph Curry. Everywhere he goes, people want to watch him play. The entire weekend next year at Chase Center should be revolving around the sun, which is Steph Curry. Every event from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you know that he would buy into it. You know that he would put forth his best foot, and he even did it this weekend. We agreed the best event that the All-Star game had in Indianapolis was the three-point contest.
Right.
Make that the marquee event on Saturday. Do away or move back the dunk contest to the first or second event. Whether it's involving the WNBA like they did this year, whether it's involving college players, everything has to revolve around Curry because I think he's the best show remaining in basketball. And to me, that's the only way that you would get eyes on that type of weekend, as well as, of course, dollars, which is the goal.
I'll tell you what, I got a prediction for next year. Put in the cap. The Warriors, what's today, February 15th? The Warriors will struggle next year in late February. Big time. Because poor Steph Curry is going to play his last game before the All-Star game on a Wednesday. And then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, he's going to have to run the entire weekend.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have to be up 18 hours a day. He's going to have to do 7,000 interviews. He's going to be on center stage every single day, an hour of that weekend. And the next thing you know, it's going to be like, oh, by the way, we got to go to Utah for a game now to start the second half. And he's going to be like, what all-star break? So
not a break for him.
There it is.
He's still the face of the game.
No doubt. But you're right, though. This is because that's what they always tend to do is wherever the all-star game is, they highlight that city's and that franchise's players. I mean, for goodness sake, Tyrese Halliburton was one of the highest profile guys this weekend, along with like a Reggie Miller, some of the old ABA guys from Indiana, obviously Bird. It's going to be all, you're right, it's going to be all Steph Curry next year. And you know what? Honestly, Evan, he's the kind of guy that might be able to set a whole positive tone for the entire weekend in a way. He can almost elevate the whole weekend by himself by being so available and so accessible.
I think if there's anybody that could bring legitimacy back to the NBA All-Star Weekend, and specifically the game, it would be Curry. LeBron doesn't seem to care about it as much. And I think that's also reflective in the two events on Saturday. You see Steph participating in the three-point contest.
Right.
More stars participate in the three-point contest than the dunk contest. Someone like Steph is okay with the possibility of losing to a WNBA player, knowing that that will elevate that game, that it will put on a great event, and that he also can be the showman that he's always been. Unlike someone like LeBron James, who for years has kind of tap danced around the dunk contest, and even other players too. It's not just him. But again, Mac McClung, who's not in the league,
right,
has won the dunk contest the past 2 seasons. That, to me, devalues the event. Steph Curry is one of the faces of the league who participates in his event. So to me, you do everything you can next year to showcase just how important he is to the league.
Absolutely right. Yes, Mac Light's CEO. Don't forget the big O, Oscar Robertson. Correct. He was a monster part of it. Also, here's a little piece of trivia for you. Rick Barry, the great warrior, once said that Oscar Robertson, by the way, it's Robertson. A lot of people, Oscar Robinson. It's not. It's Robertson. It's the most underrated athlete in the history of professional sports. It's according to Rick Barry. He said Oscar Robertson is a guy that was one of the greatest players of all time who should be getting more credit. That's